Hello and welcome to another Hot Toys review. Today we're taking a look at the new version of Batman 1989. Compare it with the original one released back in 2012. I got this, my mom got it for me, rest in peace. She got this for me, she asked me 1 year what I wanted to think it was for birthday or Christmas, and I was like, this is my favorite Batman in live action anyway. Hot Toys made it, it's like, that's the one I want. He got this on Topo, I still have the receipt. And I got it for around 1,200 RMB, which is probably less than 1,300 Hong Kong. So I'll put on screen what that price is in US dollars. Now this thing ordered directly from Hot Toys now is 1,730 Hong Kong. The deluxe edition also comes with an extra staircase stage. I did not get that because that's not something I really care about. I just want the figure itself and most accessories. As you can see here, both these boxes, one is way bigger than the other. That's a good and a bad thing. Because the good thing is with the bigger boxes, there's actually a bit more stuff in there. And you remember when getting Hot Toys used to feel like a special premium event? The old one also came in its own cardboard transport box, which is decorated, right? You see that? It's all properly done and stuff. And I've kept this box all this time because, this is an expensive figure and it's from my mom, who's no longer with me. So it's good to protect. It didn't protect the box entirely, but it's got it kept in relatively good condition. And in the new one, it's protected by just a plastic bag, which feels maybe unnecessary. With the new one, you got this metallic print and the logo, very like the special edition DVD box art. A lot of legal stuff, legalese on the back, whereas this one, you got a very nice metallic print on the front. Advertising for the Batmobile that was coming soon at that time. Not too much on the back, but yeah. And you look at the top, the new one says Batman in the movie font and logo, whereas this one has that really bat yellowness that they decided to put on it. So they did indent the box just a little bit. You can see it right there. So the nails and stuff have a little bit of a bump to it. And you have a nice window there that sees almost everything you get with the figure. When you're in the shop, they do ask you to, hey, have a quick look and check that. I'm missing a piece. I need to email them tomorrow and be like, hey, I'm missing a piece. And on the back, they print out some design sheets on that. Whereas the old one, when you open it, there's a whole sponge there protecting everything. And yeah, witnessing his parents being murdered in the streets of Gotham City, blah, 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 blah. Batman figure there. You also have this card which does not come with the new one. So you can put this on top of a light and you should get the Bat signal and Bat logo. I've tried that. I have photos of the old one where I've tried it and it does work. And inside, everything is like, hey, Hot Toys, we're still relatively new. Let's put more effort and show people what's going on. Even the optional face pieces come in that little display stand or holder. And then once you're ready to get the figure out, you open it and all the accessories there with the base plate. I've always kept this on screw because it's just easier to get the batteries in and out of it. And you got all the accessories there. After you slide the new one out, there's two pieces of tape here holding this tray there. But once you take the tape off, this thing just slides around, so it's a little bit hard to get it back into the box. They also taped the instruction manual down here. Once again, once you untape that, you just say, okay, where am I supposed to put it? Where does it go? It is nice to have an instruction sheet here telling you, what's going on with this figure. So that's cool, but I'm not a fan on how they just put it. Did they need to tape it there? If you're going to remove the tape anyway, this is could just gone in the box somewhere. Maybe it's just to stop it from messing up when they put it in the box for the first time. And I suppose if I just open this, instructions in the old one is also much more detailed and robust than the new one. On the first accessories, you have a spare two pieces of hand articulation joints. So the old one has that as well. And both sets have an identical set of hands. I'm just going to get one in here to compare. I mean, this one is, almost pretty much 20 years older. So it's going to look a bit faded, but now the other one is like over 10 years old, so it's going to look a bit faded and stuff, but it's looking a bit more matte and less glossy than the new one, but the hands are essentially identical. And all the other accessories seem to be identical as well. The paint quality between them are almost the same. I've noticed a few bits that are maybe slightly different. Like I'm looking at the gold buttons on this here, and I can see that the old one is painted slightly less detailed, or maybe that might have rubbed off at some point. If you look at this disconnected magnet here for the bat grapple on the new one, they painted it black to cover it up. So there are some very minor differences there, but otherwise these seem to be identical. Even this one, I've always kept it back in the bag. That's how they package it. Whereas in the new one, they sort of just roped it around there. But otherwise, it's the same. This shoe, though, Vicky Fell's shoe, I'm like, this is a new accessory. It's just there. I think this is for the staircase set when he's walking up and stuff. But this looks so cheap. It's so poorly painted. Like it can't even fit on an actual figure if you did have one. Like the edges on the bottom is painted so badly. Why is that there? I have no idea. And this one here, the big sort of zip line thing that he has is also pretty much identical. The spring is slightly moves a bit better, maybe, but that's maybe just because it's newer. But otherwise, again, it is the same. You got the same accessories there. You also have these sticks for him to slide into the cape, so you can hold it up and strike a pose. Now the coloring on the new one is much nicer and closer to the actual logo, because this one's been flipped and they just put one paint on it instead of, two different shades of yellow there. But there's one thing that's missing. There's a few things that's missing on the new one. First of all, I thought the protective sheet on this out 10 years. This is like a little metal plate. This is just plastic. That's cheap. That's like, how much are we paying for a figure? You're gonna cheap out on that? Okay. Notice that these little lighten up things still move. Okay, they move on the new one. But guess what? You can't open this. This has been like glued shut. Okay, if you can put a screwdriver in there and try to yank it, it's not coming off. This is lazy. This is cheap. And this is ugly. I know it's just a stand, you're not going to see it, but if you're going to remove the features, what are these for then? What are these nubs for then, huh? For what? For what? The last extra accessories we have are these extra mouthpieces. They seem to be based on the same thing, but the shape and size of them are slightly different. They are not compatible with the old figure and vice versa. So these two are similar, that's fine. I think that detail is slightly nicer on the new one. But this one here, these are actually quite different faces. But you can't use this old different face on the new one if you have them, because different mechanics. And I know these sort of bat head pieces holding the mouse are kind of unnecessary, but they are kind of cool to have because the molding on these they're pretty excellent. Here are the two Batman figures side by side, and first glance is that the colors are slightly different. It's weird how the old one, the logo is more orangey, but the stage is more yellow, whereas the new one is more yellow, but the stage is more orangey. The biggest difference between these two is, first of all, the head sculpt is different, but the biggest difference is the old one, there's a piece on the back of the head, and there's just one magnet to hold it there, and one piece that moves the eyes together. Just one trigger. So I can just do that. He's looking there, and the eyes are moving together, and it is because it's so easy to access, very easy to center the eyes. But the only downside is that there's a line where they've done the attachment. It's not too noticeable because, it's hiding behind where the bat ears are, but depending on how you take the photo, you see the back of the head, it's going to be an issue. And whereas the new one, if you want to move the eyes, you gotta take the whole head off, right? So forget animation and stuff. It's going to be a huge pain to do that. And then you get the new accessory, which is a tool that goes in there, and you move the eyes individually. I suppose I don't need the tool. I can use my fingers to move a little bit. Look, the eye moving thing is really good, but Hot Toys, you guys perfected it by allowing me to rotate the eyes together. Unless unless someone taking photo very specifically wants Batman to go goofy eyes, looking in different directions like duh, there is absolutely no reason why these eyes, there's no advantages for these eyes moving individually. So the old mechanic is better and easier to access. And if someone was using this Batman figure for animation, it's so much easier just to use your finger to move it around instead of, you're going to move the figure by unplugging the entire head. So whatever movement you're doing, it's very hard to get it back in where it is. So I guess, you're just going to end up with forgetting the whole thing and just use digital animation to move the eyes if you need to. Another thing I noticed with the new one is, now this old one has a bit more wash on the belt, and it's designed for you to quite easily take it off, okay? On the new one, it is the same mold, and you can take it off, but the way they painted it is that some of the paint is glued together when the first time I removed the belt, which left a small mark, but it looks okay because, it's sort of hidden behind these edges and stuff. So it's not too noticeable, but it is still a thing I need to know. Like, if you do remove the belt, be a bit careful. You might mess up some of the paint, and the paint might peel with it. Now, this Batman is over 10 years old, and the cape has definitely seen better days. Like, it's falling apart. It's old. So if I want to keep the old one, I'll need to get a new cape or for him or something. And the wires in there. I think this wire is in there, but no, probably not. It's so soft, and so what you do is you just stick the plastic tube in here and you can hold it up, but otherwise there's no wires in there. It's very soft, it's falling apart, it's loose. Another thing with the new one is, like, if I move the old one, not only is it old and the joints are loose, I can't actually pose him anymore. Some joints I can, some joints are better. That's not working. Like, I can't really maybe move his head a little bit. There's a double neck joint in both of these, but it's inside there. But just like the actual suit, you can't really move him too much. And yeah, you heard that click. I just can't do any poses with him too much. So the new one, they said they would improve the movement, and let's see how true that is. I'm going to put the old one down now. The cape falling apart on me. So the new one, I think, yeah, there are a little bit of wires in there. There's about 4 or 5 wires in here. So you do a little bit posing, but look at that. Like, okay, I just wanted to have his cape, let's say, in the wind. Okay, let me just do the wind pose. Little bit, maybe. Useless. I have the Mezco Batman, which I'm going to do a review in comparison to the SH Figuarts one. The Mezco one can actually pose. Like this whatever wire they put in here is pathetic. Okay. It's almost better they just didn't do it. So on this Batman, he can move his head a lot more than the old one, which is good. Okay, rotate a bit. Let's see if his arms can go up. Oh, it does stay up. I wonder for how long though. When will this joint start to get loose? But at least it can go there. And this plastic is still pulling against it. The Mezco one is 112, but they gave him a silicone body. Hot Toys has used silicone bodies too, and we've seen 12-inch scale silicone muscle bodies as well. So why didn't they do that with this one? Because they're being cheap and just remolding the old stuff. Because I'm also doing articulation. Oh shit. Wow. Wow, that's a good thing for the spare joints that broke so easily. Oh, lucky my figure's still on the warranty. You saw how easy that broke. Got clicky joints for the torso, which helps. And now that I split this apart, you see where the paint peeled. The belt is so easy to come off now. I guess you're not supposed to take it off, but it came off the old one, so it's annoying. So I guess when you're articulating, you're gonna put your hand there, right, when you're posing him, to make sure the belt doesn't come off. And also, even if this is still glued on, like, that means the body is pushing against it. So that's not good. Rotate a little bit there, and a little bit there, and clicky joints for the leg. Okay, let me go up pretty high, but the suit is pushing back against it, and there's clicky joints here. So I did put him in a very dynamic pose the other day. So my go-to pose for like really posing and pushing the figures is to do a rider kick. So you can see he can do it quite well, I guess. Yeah, boot swivels. There is a joint in there, so the plastic's soft enough for you to pose it a bit more. Yeah. Okay. So posing is definitely better on the new one. The clicky joints do help, and I am thinking like at some point, when this figure gets old and the suit also starts to degrade or break, maybe at that point I'll just start cutting it and just convert it into a large size regular action figure, you know, where you can see the joints like an SH figure or something. I'm gonna have to dig that joint out now. That's fuck's sake. So compared to the old one, the new one is definitely easier to pose because it's got like clicky joints, it's newer, so everything's tighter. I think the overall suit is pretty much the same. It might be slightly thinner or slightly softer material. The cape is lighter. It does have wires in it, even though it's almost useless, but you know, it does do a little bit. Whereas the old one, well, it's over 10 years old. The cape has no wires in it. It is a heavier and thicker material, and the suit is, you know, tougher, harder, and the figure itself, even back then, I remember it was harder to pose because the joints just weren't tight enough. The only way you can go back to the old one is to probably have to cut the suit open to retighten the joints or put a new body inside, and you're gonna have to glue the suit back together. And the cape itself, you know, to replace that is also not too cheap unless you do it yourself. So yes, in terms of the new one, you are losing on the light up stage. You are losing that little bit of plastic that you put in the torch to shine the Bat logo, but you do get a slightly improved body, a Vicky Vale shoe, and that's it really. So the new one is a better figure, despite some fragile plastic that I just experienced. The new one is much easier to get. So if you're only going to get one, you probably are going to get the newer one because there's going to be effort put into the old one to fix it up, unless you really want a light up stage and you really want that Bat logo. And that's such an annoying thing as well. That's just a thin piece of plastic with some black printed on it, and Hot Toys cheaped out on that, even though this figure costs more than the old one by quite a bit. And if you want to think inflation, I mean, it's only been 10 years. So if you just review this figure on its own, it is still that classic 1989 Batman design. It's the best Keaton Batman figure that you can get at different scales. I think the Mezco one is really good, but this Batman figure is still a very good figure. It's just, in terms of accessories, it's just slightly disappointing and annoying. So there you go. That's a comparison review of this figure. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already and you like content like this. And I don't have too much experience with Hot Toys, just the old Batman, this one, and the Clone Wars Ahsoka. Now, Clone Wars Ahsoka poses very well, but her suit, like, some of the printing can smudge off really easily. So I've got to be careful with that. But she does have some silicone body texture, and I'm wondering why they couldn't have done that with this one. So subscribe, just go below, guys. Take care, have a nice day. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye now.